Dr. Loomis. Cody Loomis. What up, brother?
Nothing much, man. I'm feeling good. How about you?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, man. What I'm just unlike anybody else that exists in the whole world. And I'm gonna say that because I met this guy, Cody, recently, and he went, it's always been on my bucket list to be interviewed on a podcast. And I was like, really? I just so happen to have one of those and could assist you in that. So, vis-a-vis, here we are. Welcome to Evolving with Cory Kastle. I'm Cory Kastle. This is my new buddy, Cody.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here, Cory. Love the introduction, man. Gets me every single time. I don't know why. I just can't help but laugh at it.
I think that might have been the first time I've actually done like an introduction. I kind of poo on them a little bit. I don't know if you ever heard me talk about it, but I say, oh, crap.
Oh, not the binaural beats. You're going to entrance the audience.
It's not subtle enough. Be more subtle. But
all of a sudden, I want wealth.
all of it, as much as can be.
Yes.
But I was just saying, like, I don't do introductions for a lot of people because I think if somebody's clicking it, if they see that the episode, the title of the episode has the person's name in it, so I'm gonna have to jump really far into like, this guy's been on the cover of Vogue magazine. This guy, like, I don't have to do like the present this person. Like, that's not my job, dude.
I agree. The name should sell itself. Although I'm a recruiter, so I'm not. I was actually listening to Steve Morrison, man. That guy, what an interesting fellow. Oh my gosh, I was loving listening to that. Such deep insights.
Cool. Thanks for listening, man. I appreciate the support and
no problem.
And the feedback is always great. I love that.
I think what I really love is I love when people love what they do. If that makes sense. Like, you can sense when somebody's. It's the same thing, kind of like when I'm doing what I do for work, right? You can always sense when someone's kind of got that passion, and they're just like, they're after it and they just want to be themselves and like be the best at what they do. And I love that. Love it. And I'm attracted like a moth to a flame when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, we're trying to attract abundance and love and wealth and understanding in the world. We're magnets to all that stuff. So being a magnet to the positivity, just, it feels like, it's the same like attracts like sort of thing. So like, that there's something, that there was something that made you have to tell me that you wanted to be a guest on a podcast. You had to know somewhere in there, like, maybe you needed 304 to be your sacred number. How old are you? Are you 34?
I'm 28.
I was just grasping at straws on that.
Got a couple more to go, Hopefully I'm not 34 yet.
I mean, dude, to make it to 34 is such a blessing. I mean, to make it every year beyond where you already are, like, if I go like, oh, if I make it to 50, oh yeah, that'll be cool. Like, I'll get to have all that time to enjoy some stuff and to like tell some stories and learn some lessons and pass some along. Like, it doesn't feel like I go, oh, I dread. Maybe that's what's kept me young. It's because I don't think about tomorrow and dread it for being older. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. 100% it does. I personally, I think for me, it's more of like, by the time I'm 30, I have certain things that I feel like I want to accomplish. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm 34 and I'm where I'm at right now, I'm like, no, it's not necessarily the age that would get me. It's the lack of being where I want myself to be. But I'm kind of in the moment, I just enjoy. I got a great group of friends, I got a very tight-knit family. So I love every single moment of the life that I live, but there definitely is some goals that I want to make sure that I hit, like be on a podcast. Check.
This is step one.
Step one, baby. I'm going to be on a roll.
Bless you. I hope to be around for all the other goals. I'm pleased to be someone that's assisting someone else in the beginning of their goal setting process. I'm happy to be that resource. I'm happy to be that platform. Like I always say, if I could be a resource to you in any way, please don't hesitate to call me. Don't hesitate to ask me. Don't ever feel like you don't have somebody to talk to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're the magnet. You are the magnet, you know?
I'm gonna get a big magnet tattoo.
There you go. It was like one of the big red ones that's like U-shaped.
Yeah, well, I'll get them on both my forearms.
Yeah.
Like, and
that'd be awesome. How many tattoos do you have?
I don't have any on the upstairs anywhere.
Oh, got it.
They're all on my legs, but it's like from my knees down are covered in stuff.
Okay. Were any of them just like random, like, I feel like getting this today, or is there like, do you have meaning behind any of them?
Or? When I was like 18, I got a tattoo of the band Alien Ant Farm. Do you remember that band?
I've never heard of them.
They did a cover of Smooth Criminal on the radio. As it came out the window, what's the sound of a crescendo? You know that song?
Sounds like something. Well, I know that song.
Are you okay? Are you okay yet? Yeah, they did that song. I got.
Oh, nice
logo right there.
Okay, all right.
But I do love that I have it. I love why I got it. I love the explanation of what that band means. I love what the band's name means. Like it means like I guess Terry had came up with the guitar player. The guitar player, he came up with saying like humans on Earth, are we aliens, ant farms? Like they're like looking down and watching what we're doing and watching how productive or non-productive, tracking it like someone would with an ant farm. It's fascinating to me. I love that. Yeah, we're a simulation. We're a video game.
Yeah, I mean it's. I haven't seen anyone come out with a great argument as to why that's not a possibility. So, you know, in the terms of things that are possible, that's 100% possible. I mean, I got a tattoo, a Dirty Harry Clint Eastwood on my leg. It was for a contest. When I had social media, this guy put a post out and he's like, "Who wants to get Dirty Harry tattooed on him?" And I was like, "Me?" Yeah. And he was like, "All right, come on over." And it was we didn't win the contest, unfortunately, but at least there's a funny story behind it. You know, a permanent
great story behind it.
Yeah. It's like, how'd you get that one? Yeah, I just saw a post on Facebook. I didn't know the guy. Always been one to roll the dice, you know?
I had this joke I've been doing for a little bit. I haven't done stand-up in a couple months. So everything I do on stage, I did on stage. I haven't done it. So I'm speaking in a past tense. Like not that I'm not a comedian. It's just that I haven't been active in comedy. Anyway, disclaimer over. The thing was, I was saying certain words, and I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but I said certain like letters when you look at them next to each other. Like if you put like it gets confusing. Like if you put like a lowercase r next to an N, it looks like an M, you know? Like sometimes if you're looking too quick, if you're reading too fast, that lowercase r next to that N looks like an M.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm following.
So like I'll read a headline and sometimes I read pretty quick and sometimes I'm a little dyslexic and I have to slow back down and reread what I wrote or reread what I read just to make sure it's correct. But because my instinct automatically, like I'll see a headline that says like killer tornado ravages cities. And I'll be like, killer tomatoes. I heard of those.
Just all I can picture when you say that is just like a tomato like walking on its vine, like the Great Pumpkin from like Charlie Brown.
Well, there
You
there
know?
was a movie called The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, like
Oh,
in the 80s or something. Like it was a big B horror with like tomatoes killing all the city, like all the people in the city,
it was
like
probably
guts.
legit at the time. Like people were actually afraid of that because I feel like
Oh,
back then, like people gardened a lot more. You know, like or, like if you played that in the modern day, people would be like, it's like Cocaine Bear." You know, like
I don't think anyone really feared killer tomatoes
back then it could have happened. You know, nuclear
in the
stuff.
80s. These killer
Yeah,
tomatoes.
yeah. You know, you're
More,
just walking
more like
around and
you guys didn't have the internet. You couldn't Google if killer tomatoes were real or not.
yeah, exactly.
You
How do you
friggin'
know?
idiots in the 80s.
You know, they could have been hoodwinked. They could have been fooled.
Maybe the plot of the movie came from somebody reading Tornado too fast.
It could
Maybe
be.
that.
Well, you see what I imagine. Look, now you got me stuck on this killer tomato thing. I imagine not a big one with like big old like vine legs. I see like a little small ones that like latch on your face and like seeds,
Like a
and they
poisonous
like
killer.
Alien versus Predator. You know, the aliens, the seeds come out, and then it's just more killer tomatoes. Kind of like on that episode of Rick and Morty. You know,
Hmm.
where the face hugger things. That's
Hmm.
kind of like what I see when I think of killer tomatoes.
Glory to Glorzo.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Great show.
You can't whiz a Rick and Morty reference past me and not second
Not have a
trying
return.
to pick it up.
That's awesome. I love
But
Rick and Morty. That's
also
a great show.
in capital letters, if you look at the letter L, capital L, right next to an right next to an I, right there, it looks like it's a U, right? If you like are reading too quick, an L right next to an I looks like a U. Like if you look at real quick, you're like, oh shoot, okay, I thought that said something worse. Like I remember being like, who's this CUNT Eastwood guy, and what's Dirty Harry about?
Are you like the Mario Andretti of speed reading?
I'm just a smidge dyslexic.
Got it. Okay, so they rearranged themselves a little bit for
So
you.
so
Got it.
yeah, some things I'll read. I'll like, you know, I sometimes I read things like really peripherally. Like I'll
Yeah.
see it like over here and be like, oh, that's what that says. I kind of like whiz by certain things. I told you, man, I'm unlike everybody else. I just don't fit. I just don't fit whatever the mold is. I don't read like everybody else.
I feel you. What's the best book you've read recently?
Uh, the guy who wrote Rambo, John Morrell, I think his name is. He wrote a novel in like 2003 called Creepers. And I read that a really long time ago, and then I recently rebought it. And my girlfriend and I are kind of having fun with it. Where like we'll take turns reading a chapter out loud to each other, and it's just like a little like we're on this journey together. It's a cool fun thing that I don't know if anyone else does that.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like
I
watching a
dream
show
of doing
together.
something like that. That would be amazing.
It's like kind of watching it's kind of like watching a show together, but we can't be distracted by our phones.
Yeah, like
You know,
one
like
person gets to like visualize,
consume it.
what's
Yeah.
being said, and the other person is like the narrator. I feel like I do some goofy voices. Like I have friends who have kids, and I'll like read them, like a book before it goes to bed or something, and I always do like the craziest voices when I read them. I feel like that's what I do. Like if I had a girlfriend, that was wanting to read a book back and forth, I would just do like the goofiest, whatever I could imagine the character would be like. I would just like go all in on it.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. Like when you do act outs and stuff. Yeah, it's great. And I think that might be what's fun about like listening to a book. I don't know. I mean, I've never listened to a book except for like stuff that's not a novel or not. It's nonfiction stuff. So it'll be like someone will be like, the method behind this very lesson. Like
So
that kind of.
is that the lady you met on the podcast? I think I heard
Yeah,
about that earlier. How long have you guys been together?
it was 2 years in March. So it's going on 3 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's the magnet,
Mm,
the magnet theory. We're coming up with our own theory here.
So when you see a magnet is like a circle. It's kind of half of a circle. Two magnets together is a full circle,
Yep.
and sometimes that can look like a heart.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
my
I saw a
god!
heart. Oh, it's
Oh my,
beautiful.
oh
We're
my
in
god!
love.
Two magnets looking like a heart. That's
Wait, but if you put two magnets together, don't they like? It doesn't have to be like negative polarity and like positive. I don't know about that stuff, but
uh,
that sounds right.
I'm not
Must have been
a
the other
science.
side of the
I'm not a
magnet.
science guy. Nobody
Neither am
tunes in. No one
I.
tunes in for my scientific opinion on anything.
uh, oh, if you did, you're getting some science today.
Yeah, science.
Got you covered. Oh goodness.
So, what I want to know, and usually I would have to ask this to somebody who's like somewhat in the entertainment business in some way. But I mean, I think you kind of are. Like when as far as like somebody who's like a people person and is always talking to somebody, there's got to be some element of like, wow, I better be interesting, like a keep this person's attention sort of thing. So normally I'd ask to get into that. There is like a void that you're kind of filling. Like there's this look at me hole that comes from some like trauma or damage. Do you happen to have any of that? Do you have a spotlight on what that is? Do you have a damage? Like normally I'd say, what's your damage? But I feel that might be insensitive to say.
You know what's interesting about that is like I've seen like people talk about that aspect of things before, but I haven't done like I think honestly one of the things that I think kind of like messed with my brain a little bit when I was younger was the whole lucid dreaming thing. Because what used to happen is like those dreams that I would have, like it was uncontrollable. I would wake up in like pure terror because I would pick up dressers and smash them to pieces. I would punch out windows. I punched out a glass door. That's how I got this right here. I punched out a glass door and woke up in the middle of the street at 4 a.m. with just blood running all down my arm, So I feel like nothing really scares me to that degree, only because when I was little, I was having these dreams that were like hyper reality to me. Like it was real to me, and I would wake up with the repercussions of that. One I really remember very vividly was I was trying to get out of a train tunnel, and there was like rocks falling down the train tunnel. The train was coming, and that's when I picked up like everything in my room and just smashed it to pieces. I'm like 14 years old, and I'm waking up with my dad yelling, and my mom's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, "What?" Like you're not supposed to wake up a dreamer, but like, what are you gonna do? Let me rampage around the house, like breaking stuff? So I feel like a lot of like I don't know, the way that I interact comes from just seeing things that felt so real to me, but at the same time were like incredibly terrifying. So it just gave me like a depth of sense that a normal person wouldn't have, And eventually once I was able, it took me, oh geez, it took me like 3 or 4 years of just trying different things. I used to smoke to try and go to sleep. When I started doing that, I wouldn't dream at all. And I would sleep normal. So, I tried that for a while. And then when I stopped, it came back, but I stopped acting my dreams out. So now when I sleep, and it's still to this day, when I sleep, it's just like a lucid dream almost every single night. And sometimes it's like sleep paralysis. And like people talk about how horrific that is, but like to me, I'm just unfazed by it, just because like I've been experiencing it for so long. It feels like muscle memory where I'm like, yep, the same.
Has there been like a diagnosis? Is it called something that you have those every night?
It was night terrors back when I used to act them out. They actually asked me one time to come on the Dr. Oz show. But I didn't want to because personally, I've never liked any sort of like limelight or spotlight. I just like to do my thing.
I thought it was because you thought he was just going to be a guy behind a curtain and he wasn't going to actually be able to help you with your night terrors.
The Wizard of Oz. No, I went to places, they hooked my brain up and stuff, and apparently I did it while I was there, and like they were like, oh, they probably have the technology for it now, but now it's like under control. And honestly, it's more like something for me that I can use to like work out like tough situations I have to deal with, you know, like breaking up with somebody or like overcoming a fear of like heights or, you know, so it's kind of like a tool at this stage of my life, which I feel is pretty cool, you know, because I could just kind of do whatever. It's not always me controlling it, but most of the time it is. And the other times it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's my brain trying to like tell me to be aware of something because of like how the story plays out and it's just off the rails, you know. It's like my subconscious being like, yo.
Can I tell you a creative idea that I just had? Which, I mean, you could totally take or like not take at all.
Fire away.
So whatever your like dreams, your most lucid dreams, all the ones that like you that are stuck with you and you can't get them out of your head. You only always remember those stuck ones. Do you have some of those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. These are from forever ago.
So go on to GPT and say, write me a story. Write me a story about somebody who this and this and this happened to, and see what it comes up with.
That'd be pretty interesting.
And like maybe publish a blog about it or something. Like
that'd be cool. I'm down to do anything, you know. I mean, one of them is just a cow looking at me menacingly, you know. Like some of it is nonsensical.
Right. I mean, and look, what do you think? What do you think AI could come up with? A menacing cow.
Probably like the craziest things ever.
Wacky. Who could even know what could come out of AI's brain on what a menacing cow? Right. Write me a story about a menacing cow and see what it comes up with.
It says. If it, you know, it'd be crazy. What if it comes up to like with like the exact dream, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, like this is some like sci-fi level stuff.
Let's go back to talking about how this world is an illusion that we live in. We're inside the matrix. This simulation is going on and taking place. If AI can somehow give you the exact dream that you already had in its storytelling,
I would be pretty dumbstruck. I'd be like, wait,
you know what?
I'd probably just delete it and never look at it again. Honestly,
that's a movie script. That's Black Mirror right there. That's right? Totally something else.
AI tells you your dreams. That would be pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be pretty impressed. I'm not even like AI and stuff. I'm not. I mean, I get it's used like a tool and whatnot, but I'm not like, I don't know. I'm kind of old school with most stuff. Like I prefer phone calls. You know, I like to hang out in person with people. Aside from, you know, my actual work being completely virtual, but that's a different kind of connection. You know, like I'm trying to coach somebody and help them try to get a position and do what I love for 9 years. You know, so that's it's a little bit different. You know, and I feel like what most people do anyways these days. And the dating scene, don't even get us started. I mean, you got lucky, you know, you found a nice lady through your podcast. These days, these are some mean streets out here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do all the way appreciate you saying that. And I really do agree with you. I did get very lucky. When I was on the dating stuff, dang, was it difficult and weird. And like, it was like, you can't be all the way honest without them like judging you. So you got to like be careful about what amount you share with them. And you got to like be careful about like, I don't know, man. I remember being like, I met a girl down the street. I met her on Tinder and we met up with each other at the bar down the street. And I brought her back to my house. And we were sitting in my living room and I like showed her around the whole house. And then I showed her in my room and she was like, "Oh, you just got real weird." And I was like, "I didn't mean to get weird. I don't." And I was like, "Bye, leave my house. I'm not trying to get canceled because you think I'm weird. I did nothing. Get out."
Sounded like a tour.
I was showing you around. I don't have nothing else in mind.
I've tried multiple times to see what I feel like what happens, right, is as a dude in today's world, like if you opt to instead, I got terrible advice when I was younger. It was, oh, wait until it's later, yeah, oh, you're a handsome young man. Wait till it's later, you'll find somebody. So I waited, I had my fun. And then I got here and I was like, oh, wait a second. Like the ton of walls are closing in here and like shit's getting worse. So I'm out here like trying to dodge these things, and I got like
you're still so young. You're still so young. You got time. You don't got to rush anything.
I know.
I mean, being lonely is different than being alone. I mean, being alone can suck, and being lonely can suck, but if you're alone and you're good with yourself, like you're not in bad company to be by yourself. If you have a good relationship with yourself and you
100%. 100% agree with
put yourself up on a pedestal.
Take yourself out on dates. I do that all the time. Every weekend on Thursdays, my mother works at a serving place, and I go there and I eat every single Thursday. I take myself out on little dates all the time. Sometimes I'll have a beer, just hang out by myself and just think of like the craziest things, like aliens and stuff. I'll listen to like a podcast and just like let my mind just go to the wind, But yeah, it's an interesting world out there when it comes to the dating scene, I would say.
What's your favorite kind of podcast to listen to?
I like things where anything can happen.
Okay, this is going to tie into the dating part.
Okay.
If you were to set up like a dating profile on like Tinder or something, and you say this Tinder is a podcast, so if you right swipe on this, I'll interview you on my podcast, and we'll talk about how our first date's going. Like it's a real like backdoor to kind of like understanding who you're going to be talking to.
You think that would work? I feel like you'd have to meet a very particular person for that, I mean, and I can't do Tinder. I know you said I'm young, but I'm too old for Tinder. I can't do that. It's the Wild Wild West on there. It's like you just never know what you're gonna get. I am on Hinge. I'm on Hinge.
Well, you can set up the It didn't have to be app specific, but I was saying if you do a dating profile on any of those things, and if you say, hey, if you like this profile, I might want to interview you for my new podcast about modern dating.
I feel like I've like in some way, shape, or form, so I work on a team of all ladies. They're all like the coolest people I've ever met, and I've ran that sort of idea, like, why don't I just like interview? And they're just like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, why not? Like, why don't we just, get to the, but I guess.
What are the ages of these women that you work with?
Oh, I think they're my age, almost all of them, maybe a couple years older. There's some awesome conversations, especially when we're all like, joking and laughing together. It's an awesome team that I get to work on. It's really cool. But they give me advice all the time.
I'm not in the I don't fit the demographics for who'd want to date you. So I can't give you an expert point of view from somebody who's a woman that's your age who would be in your demographic.
Yes. You're saying you don't want to date me, Cory? Wow.
You date me?
Would you date me, bro?
No balls.
No, I feel like I used to life coach like 3-ish years ago. I took like all these courses and stuff, and like what was like the biggest kick in the stomach is like I had, I think, maybe 3-4 people that I ended up life coaching over the duration of when I did it, because I thought it was a great way to learn, and teach out some of the stuff that I was learning, which it ended up being so. But like one of them got married, 2 of them started going on like got into relationships, and I was like, I felt like what is the guy from the Marvel movies, leading you to a treasure I cannot possess. What's his name? Redface or something? He's like leading him to the soul stone, and he's just like leading you to a treasure I cannot possess. You know?
Is it
I can't remember his
Vision?
name. No, not Vision. It's the guy when they're getting the soul stone, you know, when they throw Gamora down the thing and he gets the soul stone. It's the guy with the red face. See, I'm not really that into that anymore, so I can't really remember his name. But that's his whole shtick is like he can't
Curse not being a dork.
Yeah. Where is one when you need it? There should be like a phone number for that.
They're gonna have a line called dial a dork. And
yes, that would. Oh man, we're popping out ideas today. So I better start writing all this stuff down.
Creativity, $1 million ideas every few minutes. You just got to stay tuned.
100%. Yep. And someone write these down.
Somebody write these down. Dial a dork.
Yep. And if you implement them, just say, "Hey, I was listening to this cool podcast with this guy."
I'd be saying, dude. I'd be always saying, like, if you get anything from me, if you hear an idea I have or a saying I have, and you adopt it, and it's adapted into your vocabulary, and you start using it, you can give me credit if you want. But if you don't, I'm not going to get upset. I have plenty of sayings that I say all the time. I have plenty of. Like, that's why I feel like when I started doing this show, I wanted to make sure that it'd be the type of show that I'd want to listen to.
Yeah.
And inside of that, finding things that would be valuable to me and add value to my life. So I'd want to make sure whoever's listening is somebody who I can add something of value to their life or their day or their point of view, their perspective on anything. So if that comes down to taking $1 million idea like dial a dork, go ahead, take it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just thank me in some way, or not, whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for.
Yeah, I'm not doing it either. So it's like, you know, hey, go. You know, that's like IP. You know, like, oh, there's my intellectual property. It's like, no, it's not. No, just go ahead. If that sounds cool to you and you got a plan and you can implement it, and that's how I've been with most things pretty much forever. I feel like, anyways.
I tried something like 2 episodes ago. I don't remember. It was a couple episodes ago. A couple episodes ago, I had on my friend Freddie, and I was telling her about this song, Little River Band sang, called "Lonesome Loser." And I was like, let me try this out. Everybody, turn your speakers up real quick and tell me if this works. Hey, Alexa, play Lonesome Loser by Little River Band. Tell me if it works. Tell me if that works. And then on my phone, that song came up on Spotify, and I hit play, and I wanted to play it, and I was playing it on my phone on Spotify, and I got a copyright strike on YouTube that.
I gotcha.
Like who else was using that? Who else? Like, how many monthly listens does that song have?
Yeah, isn't it all like an algorithm now? It's like a little algorithm now, like find stuff, you know. At least I think that is. Like I said, I listen to a lot of.
I don't have rhythm. You see, that's how my algorithm is. I don't.
Oh, like a metronome. You're a human metronome.
Did you ever see the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin?
I don't think so. Wait, is that the one where they turn him blue?
No.
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about.
So go out of your way to watch The Jerk. It's on Netflix now. I watched it a million times when I was younger, so I don't have to rewatch it, but I would like to. He's an orphan who's raised by like a whole black family, and he's just this like dork who doesn't have any rhythm, and he's like, why don't I have it? They had the music on, and he's like, how come I can't? And he's like, I'm doing it right, Mom. And she's like, yeah, of course you're doing it. Like, and then the one night he's like laying in his bed, and his feet are like that, and he starts like there's some music on the radio or something, and he starts doing that, and he's like, look, I got it. And he stands up and he's like dancing, just look, and he's doing like the whitest nerd honky dance you can do. And they're like, and he's like, I'm gonna go make something of myself. Like, or it was like some sort
When was
of
that
like,
made?
it was in the 80s, the stupid 80s. They didn't have the internet.
Oh, those guys. Oh, yeah.
Idiots.
Were you born in the 80s?
Yes.
Oh, no. Did you have the internet? You probably had the internet, though. Wait, no, 1994,
No.
wasn't it? That's
No,
1994.
I didn't have the internet.
Yeah, it's the year I was born. The internet came out. Did I have something to do with it? I don't know.
I was young and poor. You had to have the internet back then reeked of privilege. It just like you had to have a computer in your house. Ugh.
And plus, they were huge. You know,
Yeah.
Literally, I remember. Was it like 2001? Yeah, I think it was like 2001. My old man brought a computer home, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to play with that thing." And as soon as they left, I went and I was fooling around with it, and I blue screened that thing, like killed it. And I just remember he literally put it in my room. He shut the door in my room, and he was like, "Don't come out till you fix it." Ever since then, I've loved computers, and I did fix it too. I don't know how I fixed it. I don't know if I just like mashed stuff together, but ever since then, I've had an affinity for computers, you know, just like problem solving, troubleshooting, that kind of stuff. Always found that super cool. I actually started.
And you didn't have YouTube to tell you how to do it.
Nope, nothing.
You did it anyway.
Maybe
you weren't an idiot. Maybe you weren't a freaking idiot.
Who knows? The world may never know. I kind of went a different route, you know? I was working for Best Buy. I used to because they charge a lot, man. It was like, you know, like $400 to set up a network. And like, I would always feel so bad because it's all like older people who would come in, you know, and they'd be like, can you set up my Wi-Fi router? And I'd be like, oh, you poor thing. Like, I'd do it for $20. You know, so eventually after I stopped working for Best Buy, I used to I didn't really have a business, but I just used to put a card with my name on it and say, hey, like, I'll set up your network for you. Like, don't go pay $400. And they used to like make me cookies and stuff. It was like the coolest thing ever. They'd like make me meals and like we would just barter. I'd come up and set their internet up and they just like make me like eggs and waffles or something. It was cool. Super fun.
I think a big portion of this conversation is going to be me suggesting movies to you if you've never seen them. But I did want to real quick because you just reminded me of The Wedding Singer. If you ever saw that movie with Adam Sandler.
I have seen The Wedding Singer.
And
yes,
she pays him in meatballs.
And just watching it. Yeah,
she pays him in meatballs for his voice lessons.
Yeah.
But the movie I meant to ask you about, if you had seen, was Sleepwalk with Me with Mike Birbiglia. He acts out his dreams, and it sounds exactly like what you had. But he had to sleep in a sleeping bag with mittens on his hands because he would act out his dreams. He like jumped out of a hotel window, walking through the snow and with blood all over him.
Okay, that's intense. I never like hurt anybody or anything. I mean, I guess my brother told me he did try to like stop me one time, and like I like threw him across the room with one arm, and like I was a little fella, you know. I mean, I ain't the biggest dude now, but like back then I was like, you know, super small. And she's like, yeah, you just threw me across the room. And like, I couldn't do that normally if I was awake. So we figured out like I'd get like a crazy adrenaline rush when it would happen because it makes sense. You know, I'm in a life or death situation in my head. But I never like hurt anyone or anything like that. Only if, I guess, like if they touched me, maybe. But like I've left hotel rooms. You know, I used to do all the craziest stuff. And I always used to think, I'm like, how am I ever going to get married if, you know, I wake up and just start screaming and like running and breaking stuff. So the military was why I wanted to go into the military for a point in time. And that's why I started to try and like control it a little bit. And then they saw because their first knee-jerk reaction to the doctors was to prescribe me Valium for it. And they saw that prescription and they were like, that won't work. And which, I mean, is fair because think of me, you know, in a military tent under stress. And there's actual guns around, you know, and I'm picking up airsoft guns and shooting zombies out of a window that's closed, hitting myself. Like, there's just no part of that would ever sound safe for any sort of military activity, you know?
It sounds almost like a comic book hero, like Lucid Loomis, and then like you're like superpowers. You can thrust real strong. You have like the strength of 10 men, like
And I'm sleeping
Aladdin
the
when
whole
he.
time.
What's that?
And I'm
You
just
got to be
sleeping the
asleep
whole
all the
time.
time. Oh,
Yeah.
like in Rick and Morty. Did you watch that Night People
Yeah. The
episode?
Night Family. Yep.
Yeah, that could be you and your superpower.
If I could do that, like if I could just like dream about like doing 1,000 ab crunches or like
Yeah,
lifting weights, 100% I'd try that. But I don't act them out anymore. So it's like, unfortunately, I
yeah.
don't get to have a night
Dream.
family.
Sometimes if you like watch stuff about stuff like right before you, like if you just consume that information right before you go to sleep, then you're going to be triggered to dream about it. So
That's
let's
true.
say dream about doing 1,000 crunches or whatever, and then
That's very true.
just watch a bunch of dudes doing crunches. Watch YouTube videos of like people showing you different methods for ab exercises. And what if you act them out? What if you act them out in your sleep? You wake up ripped.
Maybe I could will it. I'm just like, I will sleepwalk. But then, then I go on a spur of sleepwalking again. And I'm like,
Only
too big
murdered
of
in
a
the
risk.
building.
Yeah.
Since we're talking
Yeah.
about Steve Martin again, it's a magnet. You see.
It is magnet with a heart.
Yeah, then you're gonna murder everybody who lives in your building.
Yeah.
And
I
you're
don't
like,
think
I was
like
trying to
do
only
that.
do ab exercises and I've murdered the whole building.
How do you sell that? It's like, oh, I was sleeping, and
I
I
didn't
probably
mean it.
really would be, but like, who's gonna buy that? Nobody. So I'm
I
up
did.
shit's creek without a paddle.
Yeah, and these people all have a record. Their record is like harassment. And you're like, of course, it looks like they harassed me till I murdered them all.
Or like, I mean, even if they put me in a jail cell, I guess I could just fall back asleep and then will myself to, bend the bars, walk right out and just off into the wind like a leaf blowing in the wind. You're free. Go free now. Could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it doesn't, but anything's
Free.
possible.
You're like that feather in Forrest Gump.
Yeah. There you go. Like feather just breezing on down. Oh, goodness.
I hope you write down and remember to watch Sleepwalk with Me, written and directed and starring Mike Birbiglia.
I'm almost definitely going to text you after this and be like, hey, what were those shows that or the movies that you were talking about?
Because you see, I already talked about so many things. I'm going to forget that by the time you text me. I will.
You can always watch this again, though.
It's a good thing we're saying this on the record because you can just go back and listen to this.
Exactly.
Or watch it or any of that kind of stuff.
I agree.
You can consume this. You can reconsume it.
I agree. That's perfect. It's right on the record, and then when I'm old and like 80, I can pull this podcast up and be like, look at this with me when I was 28, grandson, hopefully,
Well, you're kind of burying the lead. I say that till the end.
Oh, what?
Oh, I a lot of times do a segment called audio time travel. Have you heard of me? Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did hear that.
The point of that is for the people who are your family or people who love you or people who are like your descendants or the people who are still here and like are maybe you go back and listen to this and in those moments hear the 28-year-old version of yourself speaking directly to the future versions of your loved ones or yourself and giving a special message to inspire them to be a better version of themselves. And I'd say the next things you say are going to be the things that those people are consuming. It's going directly to their ears, like audio time travel.
I like that. I think you were telling me a little bit about that when we first met. You were talking about how you like to kind of like leave little tidbits and stuff like that, which is a phenomenal idea. How else are you going to do it? Especially for somebody like me, I'm not on social media and stuff, which I feel like is, most people's like memoirs of their life are on social media. I don't really know why I don't like social media anymore. I used to be all over it. I make goofy
Mhm.
videos and stuff. I got like Snapchat and stuff like that. And sometimes I make like goofy motivational videos. I've always liked to teach people new and interesting things, like just coaching people in like any capacity. I like come up with like cool mental constructs. There's this one that I thought about recently called what the weaponized weakness. It's not actually like a fully formed thought yet, but it's getting there. Those silent moments. I just kind of hang out and I like kind of think through it. But things like that have just always, I don't know, you get like a little tingle in your brain, and you're like, man, this is cool. Like I'm onto something. This is something.
I do that constantly. That's awesome. I would love to be able to help with that if I can in some way.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it if you're interested.
Yeah, we for sure brainstorm on it because I love any ways that I can like be creative and add value to the world. This is part of like what I say when I say how important like things said on the record are. It's like I'm fascinated with what legacy is and what like inspires people. I am so fascinated with that. And if I could be any part of that for anybody else, I'm already doing that for myself. So this isn't just called Evolving with Cory Kastle because I'm Cory Kastle and I'm the host of it. This is called Evolving with Cory Kastle because you come evolve with me. I should have just called it Evolve with me from the beginning, but I called it Evolving with Cory Kastle
It
because
rolls off the tongue though. It sounds good.
okay, good. I no. Thanks for the confirmation. No one has given me any of that. The like,
It's like, no, I'm just kidding. You suck.
but it's like you start down here and you get a little,
And then you're
wiser
standing
and
up
you go,
straight, using tools, saying
yeah,
words, singing
yeah.
songs, starting
Yeah.
fires.
But I mean,
Sometimes it's
tell me
fires in the mind.
if you ever thought of this, because this is a point I think I've been making since the beginning. I don't say it every time, but I say it pretty often. Uh, let's say ideal lifespan is like 100 years old, right? So here's like you're born till you die. You go through um, a relationship for 2 years, and you get your heart broken real bad, and you carry that weight forever. Why are you carrying weight for something that's only this big of a blip on the radar? About 1 to 100 years is your lifespan. You you got so much more time. Inside of that time, you're wasting all these right nows on those right nows that have already gone and you can't get back.
I agree. I agree.
So let's
You gotta look at it as the whole journey, not just as you're walking through like a dirty thing. And I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I was cheated on recently,
mhm.
and I thought I had that exact thought to myself. I'm just like, listen, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. It's no fun. And it was emotionally, it wasn't physically, luckily, which I mean, I feel like it's probably exactly the same damage level. Just went back to the ex, you know what I mean? And I felt a certain type of rage. And one thing that I will say that I've kind of developed is the ability to like be aware of like what kind of emotions that I'm feeling, and like it was something completely foreign to me and it caught me way off guard. And I was like, what is this? Like, I'm just so mad. And I sat with that, and I meditated on that for like 3 or 4 days to
Mhm.
kind of get over it and understood why. And eventually I was just like once I was done, I was like, we're gonna let this go. And then I see her, I see her sometimes and I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, I just don't feel anything anymore. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I feel like that's how everybody should be. It's like it works out, doesn't work out. People make choices. It's their choices, not your choices. Your
Mhm.
choices are relevant to what choices you actually make. You can't control other people. You just can't. Which, geez, someone tell the government that.
But like I I used to think maybe it was maybe I was just like kind of like a needy boyfriend. Like when I used to date girls when I was younger, I used to be really needy, and I felt like if I loved them enough, it would make them love me more, and it made me like real weak and like not the kind of person. I say this all the time. If me now knew me then, I wouldn't be friends with me. I I would not. I would not associate. Like I'd need too much. I'd want too much. I'd ask too much. Like overstep boundaries for sure. I did that, and I'm man, I'm totally a different version of myself than I was back then. And I'm so grateful for it every day because that makes me go now. Why wouldn't you want to be the type of person you'd want to be friends with? And then I can use that by going then, like if I'm going through something, anything at all, I would go, how would I advise somebody who wasn't me, who was going through this type of thing? And then it helps me make up my mind of going like, I can't beat myself up and call myself a piece of shit because I'm my boy.
Yeah.
I'm my homie. Like
self-love.
I gotta treasure all this value that I got. And talking to myself like I'm faulty, like I'm flawed in some way, is not gonna get me any further than I want to be.
I agree. Thoughts, what do they say? Thoughts shape reality.
Yeah, man.
If you think you're a piece of shit, you know, you'll in one way, shape, or form materialize that. Especially if it's your mind, you know, because like your mind is what controls what your perception of reality is.
Well, not only that, but like if you're thinking those thoughts and then you're saying them out loud, you're training other people to believe it's okay to talk to you like that. If you're like, oh, forgive me, I'm an idiot, then they're gonna be like, he's a freaking idiot. Like you're gonna, those people are gonna think it's okay to talk to you in a way that you talk to yourself. So, you know, now they say treat others the way you'd want to be treated. Treat yourself the way you'd want to be treated. As far as like how, you know, you practice grace and kindness with who you are, because who you are isn't who you were. Who you were was somebody else.
He was.
But like, dude, honestly, I always say whenever somebody has like a big problem is, I'm go like, dude, we're gonna laugh about this in 6 months. Like, think about your biggest problems you had 6 months ago, and if they're there anymore, and like, where would you have? What would you have done if you realized that like you made a desperate move to get out of that situation, and like you didn't have to make that move because. So it's something about being a little more calculated in your next moves.
Yeah,
Your OODA loop, as
I agree.
I learned.
I think a strong thing to, you know, if I was to attempt to teach anyone anything that's watching this tonight, I would say, you know, try to learn how to express your emotions, especially my boys out there, you know, because that was probably one of the hardest. There's someone that I work with who gives me kind of direction every now and then. We'll have, you know, long conversations, and it was something about vulnerability that we were talking about. She was like, man, you should work on that. And I was just like, oh, what? And then I was like upset about it. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should work on that. So, you know, I took 2 months, you know, I looked into things, I read things, I meditated on things, and you know, happy to say that's a part of me that I'm confident with now, you know, and I feel like that's how it's done. You know, the people around you tell you what they see, and if they could be honest and just tell you how it is, or, you know, what it is that they feel or what it is that they see, you know, you don't always have to take it at its face, but there's always some truth to just about anything somebody says, especially if they're your friend. You know,
I mean, some pills are really hard to swallow, but you got to get them down somehow.
Amen to that.
Take a bigger sip if you got it.
Yeah. Get some soda, some soda pop.
Well, that might. I think if you're having a pill that's hard to swallow, I think drinking soda wouldn't really bring it down as much.
Might make it
it'd be all bubbled up.
It'd probably make it feel a lot cooler going down. You feel like Pop Rocks, like you follow, you
Yeah.
smell like old Pop
We have a
Rocks.
little poppy pop, poppity
Yeah.
poppity pop.
It's awesome. Do you have a morning routine?
Do I have? No, I don't really. No, not. I mean, recently when I wake up in the morning, I just like I usually have like a something playing, like some like meditation stuff playing when I go to sleep. So that stuff's normally on. I'll just sit with it for a couple minutes as I wake up,
That sounds
and
peaceful.
then I'll check my phone like every other person in 2023. I just check my phone. Like that's exactly what the dependence
Yeah.
is there. Can I claim my phone as a dependent on my taxes?
You should be able to, honestly. Well, I mean, if they start putting AI in it, then I feel like you better be able to. Things gonna have its own brain.
Well,
But
I mean, it is in it. I mean, you go to ChatGPT on your phone, like there is AI in your phone. Like,
I'll take a browser.
what's that?
I'm talking like an app, or maybe just it's like a phone in itself, and it turns into like a little robot. Starts walking around, following you
Oh
around and
yeah,
stuff.
like
That'd be pretty
a
cool.
Roomba,
Yeah, yeah.
but a phone.
$1 million idea. Look at that.
Boom, boomba.
Somebody create it. I'll be your first investor. I'll be the first one to invest in that if you create a Roomba phone AI.
I will invest all of my attention in watching you do that.
That's about all I got to spare too. It's just a lot of attention.
You will get my time and my attention so hard. Oh man, I will pay so much attention.
I feel like I have the weirdest morning routine because I do the same thing for the most part. And I don't have music playing only because like I like watching stuff on my iPad and like falling asleep to something that I've watched a million times because you just kind of like picture it in your head. But when I wake up, I jump out of that bed and you think it's like one of those levitation movies where I'm like, yeah. I get like 6 inches from the mirror and I'm just like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like that's my hype up in the morning is I physically hype myself up. Cause like kind of like what I was telling you when we first met, I have a when I'm conversing with people, I feel like I'm like alive. But when I'm just hanging up on myself or like even in like a setting where maybe I don't know anybody at all, like sometimes I'm like super outgoing. And most of the time these days, I just like to watch and listen for the most part. But like the way that I get myself going, most people are like, you do that? And I'm just like, oh yeah, I do. Like I'm trying to get fired up in the morning,
I was doing on here. I would come in here like, dude, I would say for the last 6 months, have been terrible as far as like income, like steady, like structure and income and money coming into my life. Like it's been weird because it's like 3 months ago I got this job doing like shipping and receiving at a like a t-shirt embroidery place.
Yeah.
And 3 months before that I was doing like pools. I was doing helping like build pools and like they were like above ground pools in people's backyards. And like 3 months before that, I had started a job working in the cemetery business. I worked at a cemetery. I was trying to help counsel families in their time of need and help them make the necessary decisions. And before that, I was a server at TGI Friday. So everything I've been doing has been like, and right now again, I was coming in here before I got this last job, coming in here looking at this camera right in the front, like, and looking at myself right here on the screen and giving myself a pep talk and going like live on Twitch, doing that. And I'm like, you deserve so much more than you're getting.
That's awesome. Is
Deserve.
that what those are? I saw the ones that say pep talk on the end. I didn't watch any of them, but I saw them on there. Is that what that is?
Yeah. And it would just be me kind of talking about, cause I was just, dude, I gotta figure out what's not, because for sure I'm an entertainer and I want to have an entertainer job, but I could just do entertainment as a hobby right at the moment. It's like pro wrestling has been all I've ever wanted to do for a living since I was a little kid. And so far, I've made zero living off of it. And I'm not bitter about that. Pro wrestling has done so much for me. It owes me nothing. It gave me everything about me, everything I have, every work ethic I have, every like way that I can dissect psychology. I learned that through pro wrestling. I cannot say that pro wrestling owes me a job or owes me anything. But to be an unemployed, independent professional wrestler, it's like as a professional wrestler, you for sure on the independent circuit don't make money. Yeah. You're not making money. You're basically paying to play. It's like a golf hobby. It's like you like instead of like buying clubs and memberships to golf clubs or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm saying clubs too many times.
I get what you're saying.
But it's like instead of doing that, I'm buying myself gear. I'm buying myself custom gear. I'm doing all the things that like so I get my tights custom made, the boots, my knee pads, like my entrance gear, all this. That's why I compare pro wrestling to like drag queens, because drag shows, it's like they get all their custom stuff and they like really do a lot of effort and they put so much effort into it. So that's I compare. Most other wrestlers won't like that comparison. I compare pro wrestling to drag queens. Like some of my more homophobic brethren, we were like, we're not like drag queens in any way. I'm like, yeah, but like, stop being so insecure and just be like, yeah, it's show business. We're in show business, but the business part of it isn't really beneficial monetarily.
Yeah.
But it fills my spirit. It fills my soul. I love the education that I'm passing along. And I said, like, I stepped away. I was like, hey, I'm in 2018. I was like, I'm going to finish out this summer and I'm going to like kind of walk away from wrestling. And I didn't. Like as soon as those 3 months passed, somebody else offered me another booking and I went, yep. And then I never left.
I feel like something like that would be like a void if you stopped, something that you're that passionate about. Like,
so I was fearing in walking away from it was that the rewarding part of it is working with younger talent, kind of showing them hands-on the perspective of how we're going to work this psychology out, how we're going to understand what it feels like to have an audience the way you want them to be over, to like understand why this goes here and that goes there, like as far as like in the match, the order of things, and sort of little methods that I know that I've picked up over my 21 years of doing this, of like methods that I go, okay, I'm a little bit of an expert at that part. I have the experience to be an expert. And as far as like being in front of crowds and pleasing, and also, with the comedy, this is what like doing stand-up and being a wrestler, it gives me this awareness that I don't have otherwise. So I working in a shipping and receiving for a t-shirt thing, not really my brand. Working in a cemetery, not really my brand. I'm not killing in the cemetery.
Yeah. I'm just doing it because it's something for like monetary gain.
I thought it'd be, but and at the same time,
it's just like a wrestling camp.
You know what? I would really love that. I really love to have like a facility, because dude, I found pro wrestling when I was it pretty much like molded who I am. I found it when I was 14. I started taking bumps in a ring when I was 14, and right before that, I had like gotten arrested. I was on probation. I was like hanging out with the wrong crowd. And then I found wrestling, and I only wanted to be a wrestler. And I only wanted to like watch wrestling, and I didn't want to hang out with the bad kids, and I didn't want to focus on my family stuff. I didn't have to focus on that we were poor and we couldn't like have all the things that kids with two parents had, you know. It was so I want to be able to kind of like lend a little bit of that knowledge and a little bit of that like pro wrestling saves. I want to add that into like coaching in a performance type way, because not just would you learn pro wrestling and the psychology behind that, but then you'd learn like you'd have like acting class there. So like work on monologues we got from movies, like you do in an actual acting class, but then also work on promos, work on psychology, work on that kind of stuff, and like have it be in one way, like government funded, like there'd be some sort of grants that step in for these underprivileged kids to like help them do this. So that money would then pay for the facility and pay me to like lend some of my 20 plus years of expertise on people, you know. And it wouldn't just be for kids, for sure. It would be for anybody. And I would want to like learn. I would want to have everybody also learn like lifting weights. Weightlifting is important. Like it really, when it comes to fitness, when it comes for just for me, and I'm not somebody who even ever posts online the things that I do in the gym, because like I'm supposed to do those things. You're a pro wrestler. The pro wrestlers lift weights. Like I don't have to like take videos of myself and put them online. So I feel like weightlifting is way more important than your like cardio or like your body gets so like used to that kind of stuff. And while you're doing is the only time it's really beneficial. When you're lifting weights, when you feel sore later, it's something still happening. You're not just getting the effects of your weightlifting while you're doing it. You're getting that later too.
Yeah.
But like when you're doing cardio or any like high intensity thing, you're only getting the benefits of it right then and there.
You ever thought of like finding like a bunch of like old retired wrestlers and like pitching that to them?
No, they don't talk to me, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not
I don't know
famous
how
enough.
that world works.
No, but I'm saying like
You can will it, track them down, send them a virtual e-card, or there's some people that I never thought I could get a hold of.
Right.
And I did the craziest things to get a hold of them. I would
but you see, I'm a podcaster, so I reach out to everybody all the time, and and people don't respond to me. Like I
send them a sock and have
send
a
them
letter in the sock. You got to do something that makes their brain go, "What is this?" You know what I mean? Like, or like one of my favorites is a QR code, and you send like a giant card with just a tiny little QR code on it that says "Scan me." Who's not going to scan it? Come on, a gigantic card with this little QR code. Just giant words, "Scan me." But I mean, that's a noble goal. You know what I mean? I feel like people who care about the sport and people who care about the future generation of wrestlers, I feel like that's something that people could really get behind if you put all the pieces together of how it would work, where it would work, and if you have free time to do something like that, that'd be awesome. I guarantee there's got to be people out there who would, because you're right, fitness is incredibly important, especially with all the crap going on these days. You got to be healthy and fit if you can, or at least try. And yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, that'd be something I would have wanted to do when I was younger. I've always been kind of like an entertainer type person. I shy away from the limelight, but like at the same time, it's just because I don't want it. I do it when I want to teach someone something. But aside from that, I'm not that guy. Although I've been told that my personality comes off as very charismatic. but I think that's just the energy levels that I will myself into in the morning with maybe some coffee or
you can't teach charisma. It's there. It's not, you can't learn it or unlearn it. It's there. Like, it's something that just exists now.
I agree. I think I got it from my grandma. God rest her soul. She could sit down anywhere with anyone at any time and just become their best friend in like an hour. Literally, it maybe even less than an hour. She was just like that kind of person who could just have a conversation about. I don't even remember. I was so young. I don't even remember what she would talk about. All I would remember is I was getting introduced to new people. You know, we'd be walking down the beach and she'd sit at a bench with someone and be like, "Why, hello," and they just start striking up a conversation. You know what I mean? And and I feel like I got that. I got that impression or imprint from my grandma in some way, shape, or form. A little piece of her that lives on.
Charismatic. It's just, it might just be in your genes. I don't know if it rubbed off from her, but it might, she might have passed it down to you for sure. It's not like just being around it rubbed off on you. It may have a little bit, but like, I think it's coded in your DNA.
Get it,
Like,
Cody.
Cody. It's codied in your DNA.
It's coded. You know, I actually came up with when I was battling with anxiety and depression a long time ago. I came up with this thing. I became infatuated with Albert Einstein, right? And I used to read his equation, E equals MC squared. And I always read it as, I read this book, or maybe it was a Netflix series. It was something, but I read this thing and it was fascinating because they were saying like the way that he would look at that equation was like Albert equals my century two. And like, because it was a second new way of thinking, a new perspective of relativity that people were like thinking as in relative to oneself. And I used that to kind of like think myself out of the mess that I had found myself in. And it was at like 24 years old, something like that. I had gotten prescribed Adderall when I was young, by my own hand. You know, it's nobody's fault. And I took it every day religiously for like 8 years, 7 years, somewhere around that. My math has never been my strong suit. But when I stopped doing that, was kind of right at the same time where I like your friends start like, you know, like getting married and they're in relationships. So you're just kind of like hanging out by yourself a lot and you're like getting used to that, like that being a lone type thing. Like I never felt lonely, only because like I have awesome friends and like an awesome family as well. And I'm blessed to have that. But I still felt it. Like I would go like to my family's house or I would go to my friend's house and like I would feel like I was alone even when I was around all of them. And I knew something was wrong. And I still remember the day that I really started like working on it to like help myself get out of that mindset. I remember going downstairs and I was sitting with my mom in the morning and I had went on, what is it called? BetterHelp. I went on BetterHelp and like talked with a therapist the night before and they were like, well, you should tell somebody. And I was just like, oh, why does that make me feel so uncomfortable telling somebody, you know, because it's got, you know, just that I can't think of what the word is, but just the way people think about stigma. Yes, thank you. And I went downstairs and I was like, Ma, she's like, yeah. And I'm just like, I think I'm depressed, but like a high functioning depression. And she was just like, oh, was there anything I could do to help? And I was like, I don't think so. I think there's something that I just gotta like help myself. And as soon as I said it to somebody, it was like a weight just got lifted right off my shoulders. And then I did what I've always done, whether I'm working or something that I'm passionate about, is, you know, I hit the books and I'm like, well, if these people can do it and they can get themselves out of it, there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to. And the conclusion I came to was, you know, when you're anxious, you're thinking about the possibilities and the possibilities are literally infinite. So think of your brain as a computer, right? If you're trying to think of what's going to happen in the future and there's a bazillion possibilities, like you're overworking your brain, you're overheating it. So that's kind of the mental construct that I came up with for myself. You know, again, it's relative. That's probably not going to work for everybody. But then for depression, the way that I started thinking about it was, you know, if I'm thinking of, I'm not in the past. So why am I thinking about the past? The past has already happened. Like I'm in the present now. So what it became was like a constant trying to keep myself in the present And that seemed to really help. And then, and then I started coming back out of my shell, feeling like myself again, the goofy, charismatic guy that everyone tells me that I am. I don't really know if I am because, I'm inside my own head.
Handsome, goofy, charismatic guy.
Oh, stop it.
Well, you said that people said that. I was just saying, you were saying people also said the charismatic part. So since we're adding what people are saying, sure, I'll tell you're handsome too if you need to.
Thank you, Cory. I don't need to be told I'm handsome. Yeah. Like I said, what can you control? I can control that I think I'm handsome. I can't control if anyone else thinks I'm handsome. I would hope I think I'm handsome. I would hope that, objectively ugliest person in the world thinks that they're handsome. You only got one shot at life. You gotta have fun. You don't want to be hanging up on, tiny things like, am I ugly? Yeah, I might be ugly. I don't know. I just don't care.
It's all incredibly random.
It is 100% incredibly random. 100%. I agree with that. That's what makes it fun, though. Could you imagine if you could actually see the future?
That's
like
funny.
If you knew what was about to happen, like that would stink. There would be no surprise. Like I feel like the surprise is what makes life worth living because you don't know what's going to happen the next day. Anything can happen.
Would it be like that episode of Rick and Morty when he had the crystal that showed him how he would die?
Yes, it would be exactly like that. Like it would suck. You turn into a zombie. This big amalgamation of like goo is like holding you hostage, and that's just your own brain. There's. I feel like there's some storytelling to the plot.
I think we've come up with another episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, we're just chugging them out.
Give us writing credits on Black Mirror.
Yes. Yep. Writing credits. I'm down. We could write some stories. Have you ever thought of a story and you're like, man, this could be a Netflix series? I never write them down. I don't know why.
Dude, I constantly say that about that Creepers book. I didn't write it, of course, but the John Morrell wrote that book, and it's this novel, and I could see it being like a Netflix series. I could see it being a movie, and I can't believe it isn't a movie yet. If that movie ever gets made, my expectations are going to be so high, it's going to be ridiculous because I pictured it in my brain so many times. Like, did you ever see a movie that was a book that you really liked and it didn't match up?
Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief.
Yeah, those movies didn't add up. They didn't match the hype.
And I love Greek mythology. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, why did it not meet your expectations?
I feel like it just wasn't. It wasn't as much I don't know. Every time I feel like they do like a remake, like I'm always looking for I'm always looking for more like action and like extravagance and like what I think they're able to do versus what they actually end up doing. So it never looks quite as cinematic as like when you're reading and you're seeing the pictures of like what you're thinking in your own head, Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, I'm imagining that eventually technology is going to get there where it's like a total immersive experience. That'd probably be something similar. But I don't know. They just never seem like they add up. Like, I mean, there's a couple good ones, maybe. Not that I can think of, but I know I've seen shows where I'm like, yeah, that was okay,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because when you're reading it on the page, your mind is creating the pictures, right? And in your mind, that magic actually exists. And when you're watching it on the screen, that's CGI magic. And it's not the real magic. Yeah, it's fake. When it's in your head, it's as real as it is because it's so close to you. Not only is it so close, it's inside your head.
That's the best part about reading books. Of course, I'm not gonna lie. I think I've read. Have I even read two? I'm more of like a self-development book guy. Because after that whole thing when I was 24, I just went on a tirade because I was picking up like new skills, and I was like, wow, that's cool. Wow, that's cool. Wow, that's cool. And then like when you're talking to somebody and like they say something, it's like a broad knowledge thing where like they'll say something and like a neuron fires off and you're like, oh, that's right. I remember that in this book. Like Robert Greene. I love Robert Greene. Have you ever heard of him? So he
I'm
wrote.
not. I mean, I'm sure I've heard of his name before, but I'm not. It's not ringing any bells right now.
You ever heard of the 48 Laws of Power?
Yeah.
So he wrote those books. That one's not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, but the Laws of Human Nature was the first like actual like long book that I ever read. And just ever since that's the first book I can ever remember reading and actually like reading it and being like, wow, this is actually really, really cool. Cause all about like history and like the psychology of like famous people and like how people haven't necessarily totally changed and like human nature's always kind of been the same thing. It was just like the most fascinating thing that I've ever read. And then I picked up a few more books and I was like, wait, there's more books like this? Oh, there's another one. And you can learn skills like, you're like third person, like two people having a conversation, like Socrates style,
I can't tell you. I want to try to paint this picture for you verbally if I can. I'm as you're telling me about all these books, I'm picturing you doing a commercial for books similar to like how those compilation CD commercials. But wait, there's more. And then Socrates, and then you go a guy who's sitting there reading, guy who's reading the book, and he's like, the only true wisdom that you know. But wait, there's more.
Now over to the land of the greats. Like, breathe with James Nestor. Unleash the power of storytelling. I don't know. I never thought I'd be a reader. Never liked doing it when I was a kid. Never seemed to like it in my teen years. And then all of a sudden I picked up that one and it completely changed how I just think of things, So I'll never regret picking that book up for the first time. And I even have a picture from the first day that I listened to it because I was like doing this funky thing with my eyes and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. So I took a picture and I remember the picture.
So you listen to the books?
Yeah. Sometimes if I go like to the beach, I don't want to be like just sitting there without something in my hands. So I like listen and I'll read at the same time.
You'll read and listen at the same time. I almost said listen and lead. You'll listen and you'll lead at the same time.
Oh, cheerio.
But do they do the funny voices, or they stay in the same monotone voice the whole time? Like
and like the audiobooks?
Yeah, in the audiobook. They're like, and then they like just do.
I think there's some of them who have like a real command. Like I feel like when the actual author is the one who reads the book, like he reads it in the way that he wrote it. Where like when you pay someone to do it, it's like, and then it's like as the penguins walk across the Antarctic. It's just like because they don't know what he was thinking or like how he's feeling or like the passion behind the words when he wrote them. Or like when I'm not a big fan of when the author isn't writing or isn't reading the audiobooks. It always throws me off. As you can tell.
I want to start recording audiobooks, like reading a book and recording it, doing recordings of those, but like doing them like completely in like an impression the whole time. Like act like, oh yeah, the Ninja Turtles are reading this book, and then like do all the Ninja Turtle impressions of them taking turns reading chapters.
Do you do Ninja Turtle impressions, I'm guessing?
No, I don't. I just popped that out of my head.
As you were talking just now, I literally thought you should write a book, a children's book, called Wrestling in the Wild. And the young Cory Kastle goes out into like the savannah and he finds like a lion and he wrestles a lion. And as you're wrestling the lion, you're also talking about the lion and all of the, when he bites this hard, he's got 400 PSI behind this bite as it's like jumping on
you. His razor sharp teeth that look just like this in this. And then I'll put a little picture of it in the book.
Yeah. I would read that book. I'd read that audiobook. They could do all your funny voices as you go to different places in the world.
Every time I go out, I'm dressed as like another also famous wrestler. So when I read the when I read the thing, I'll be like, and then Hulk Hogan goes out and goes, "Hey there, brother," and like have a whole like Hulk Hogan version of it, and then I'll do like a Macho Man Randy Savage walks out into the wild.
Yeah, you could even go on. What's it called? What's that thing where you can pay him to say stuff? You know,
Cameo.
Cameo. Yeah, you can go on Cameo and just like have them read lines. You can have their actual voice, and then you can be like, "Oh yeah, brother."
I'm not looking to make that financial investment at the moment.
Not yet. Well,
I don't.
all right, nobody steal that one. Don't steal
Nobody.
that one because
Nobody,
Cory's
please.
gonna do that one once he's up and running.
But dude, when we were doing, I was doing a pro wrestling podcast. I was co-hosting it with my best friends. We did we did 7 years or something like that. We did our show, and when it hit like our anniversary of the 1 year, my best friend, my co-host, he did a cameo. He had Gilbert Gottfried do a cameo for our congratulating us for our however many hundred episodes it was, and he was like, I guess he told Gilbert to also like roast me. And so he's like, get a haircut, get a fucking haircut. He's like,
Gilbert
I
Gottfried
thought that dirty hippie look went out in the 70s. He's like, only thing worse than a smelly long-haired hippie is an unfunny, smelly long-haired hippie. Or something. He like
coming from Gilbert Gottfried though.
Yeah. Coming directly from Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah.
So like normally
now that exists. There's a timestamp on that. Gilbert doesn't live anymore. So it's like how much more special is that now?
That's very true. That's very. Have you ever played it like on here?
Yeah. Not on the show, but it's on my YouTube. It's on this channel. If you go through the YouTube channel, you can find it.
I'll have to go watch that.
Or maybe I'll just make a clip of it and put it on my Instagram.
There you go. Bam. Well, I don't have Instagram, so I won't be able to find that one.
Well, I'll
put it on your Twitter.
I'll send it to you personally.
There you go. That works. I feel like I've seen another. I feel like I've seen another person do a Gilbert Gottfried one. Where did I see? I feel like he was a super popular one to do it with, only because he had like that voice, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just like such an interesting tonality that like people it just sounded like when he would like talk shit, you know. It just hurt that much more, but at the same time, like you can't get mad. You just had to laugh because it's hilarious.
Me and Rick went and saw him when he came to Philly, and he was at the Helium Comedy Club, and he did this whole bit about how Jesus was Jewish, and he was like, people come to house parties at Jesus' house, and he'd be like, take a piece of cake, it's gonna go bad, take the cake. And he had this whole bit going into it, and we always quote it, and we like, he recorded the whole show on his phone that night, and we like listened back to it in the car on the way home. I was such a huge fan of Gilbert Gottfried.
He was a legend still is a legend, you know.
Indeed.
One can only hope to be remembered for something as awesome as your crazy voice and doing cameos, talking shit.
Exactly.
Oh, great way. Well, I got a curious question for you. You ready for this one?
Dude, I was about to ask you to ask me any question you want to ask me, because this is now timestamped. This is on the record. Anything you ask me, the answer is going to live forever.
Okay.
Or as long as the internet allows podcasts.
Okay. All right. Oh, geez, who knows how long? Would you rather, assuming you can't die, would you rather explore the deep ocean or deep space?
Do you already have an answer for that?
I do, yes.
Well, why don't you tell me yours?
No, that's not how this works. You said to ask a question.
Because I get overly panicked when I think about being underwater, I would say, let me go into space. Like somehow water and the weight of the water being all that is just kind of.
But you
Freaks
can't
me
die.
out a little bit. I know, but I can suffer. If I'm gonna stand there and drown and infinitely drown and never die from it, that's hell right there.
Okay. All right. No, the point taken. All right, mine was space as well. Infinite possibilities. You can meet more life. You could do, but see, the thing with the ocean is there could be aliens down there. There probably is aliens down there, you know. So like you could
Fish
go.
are aliens, dude. They're have you seen some fish?
Have you seen that one with a big old like mouth and he like blows up like a bubble? Have you ever watched those like deep sea scientist videos? Those people are hilarious. They're like, oh, look at like they're just you can tell that they're so fascinated every time they find something. They're like, oh, he's an angry pencil fish. He's oh yeah, look at him. He's looking at us. He's angry. And dude, it's just have you ever watched those before?
No.
Oh, I gotta send you some. They're so fun because they're just like nerds, you know. They're like nerdy people who are like really good at what they do, so they know the exact name, and they're like trying to describe its emotions as it's like floating around, and it's like getting mad at the submarine, and they're like, "Oh, he's a mad one. Look at he looks like a loofah," and they're just like describing. It's something you can like fall asleep to because it's just kind of funny, you know, makes you chuckle. I have to send you one of those.
It's SpongeBob.
Basically, I mean, that's all the kind of creatures you see down there. Like
you said he looked like a loofah. He's a sponge.
Yeah.
A loofah. A little loofah sponge.
What was I thinking of a loofah is? It's a little thing on a stick, right? SpongeBob's an actual sponge. Loofah's
yeah, but sometimes they have loofahs on a stick.
Oh.
And it's like a, you know,
yeah,
you scrub your back with it.
Yeah. I didn't know it came in just a sponge too.
There's one with like a little... A loofah is like it's like a little braided sort of like
wash rag. Oh god, I feel like someone told me that a long time ago when I was like a kid.
Somebody told you a loofah.
I didn't mean that to come out.
Well, you can't take it back now. It's out there. What do you? I don't know.
I feel like someone when I was young
told you a loofah was a sponge on a stick.
Yeah, like an actual, like it was like a sponge from like the sea. I don't remember who it was. I think I was in Virginia Beach. We used to go there for family vacations. I feel like someone said, "Look, it's a sponge," and like it actually felt like sponge. And someone was like, "Yeah, that's a loofah right there." And I was like, "Loofah."
And that's why you got to be careful about the impressions you make. You see, this kid believed it for his whole life. You could be making that up, and this kid believed it, and he was wrong all these years. That's why you know now to not speak matter-of-factly to a child about anything that you're not all the way certain of.
Yeah, I'm sure you could probably make it though. There's got to be a sponge out there in the ocean somewhere. You know, it washes up on shore. You put a stick through it. It's kind of like a loofah. You know?
Yeah.
Could be another $1 million idea.
Right there. Yeah.
I mean, how many of these are we going to churn out tonight? You know,
lucid dreaming, loofah carrying,
sponge
Cody Loomis
live, sponge live thing. I don't even know where to go with that. They got to be natural. Can't force $1 million ideas. You know.
I mean, you can.
You can.
They're not as over. They're not as organic. You know what I mean? They're not as they don't give you that fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
That fuzzy feeling of when it's right. You know it.
I agree. You know what you should do? What I like to do when I'm trying to like think about something, one thing that I like to do is I'll go to like there's a place around where I live. It's called it's like a glen, you know, with like waterfalls and stuff like that. If you go to one of those and you just like walk around, leave your phone in your car, the whole 9 yards, and just do it like all day long. Usually when it comes to like trying to decide like a decision you want to make or something you want to do, like it just comes to you like naturally. Like almost every single time, like you go there with this intent of not thinking about anything at all, like solutions to your problems just kind of like appear. You know what I mean? It's like with you, like on the job hunt, like trying to figure out what job is going to give you that passion, but at the same time, give you the freedom to do what you're doing now. Like you should just like all communication, just like turn it off, go camping or something like that. Like the silence of nature can really show you some things, you know. So can screaming off a cliff, not like off like jumping off a cliff, but like just screaming at the top of your lungs, like in the middle of nowhere. Top tier. I used to do it back in the day, you know.
Yeah, I think everybody gets annoyed by hearing little kids scream so much because they're jealous that they can also scream. There's hardly any screaming in adult life. You can't just go ah! and scream at the very top of your lungs unless you're a little kid. Like adults don't do that. And that's why I think they get annoyed by, not only because it's annoying, but they also have a little bit subconscious jealousy.
Like, I think so too.
Oh man, look how, that probably feels great.
Like, have you ever tried it before?
Screaming at the top of my lungs?
Have you ever? I mean, let's not call it a scream. I feel like it's more like a roar, you know, kind of like a war cry type thing where you just let it out. And it's just like as loud as possible.
No, I don't. I haven't done that, but
it's therapeutic.
I'm feeling like I'm due.
Try it.
I'm due for a good roar.
Go camping, man. Go camping in the middle of nowhere and just that's probably, every time they, like on that Bigfoot show, every time they hear like a roar, that's probably actually what that is. It's a dude out there just camping out in the middle of nowhere and he's just letting it all out, he's just roaring every time and they're like, oh,
yeah, it's like, my life's a mess. He's in the woods and he's like, and he's crying and he lets it all out. And then someone's in a they're like, you hear that? That's Sasquatch right there.
Right? It's really just this guy who's just like, It's kind of like singing, or at least that's what it feels like. Like, have you ever just kind of like blasted singing out a song, like just going hardcore singing a song? That's like what it feels like. It's like you're just like releasing a whole bunch of like tension.
Well, yeah, that's like I kind of do that when I go to concerts and like go see like my favorite bands and sing along to like my favorite songs of theirs, that kind of stuff. It feels like it's sort of similar to that. Saying that only to then say, if you've ever heard, I don't know, you probably never heard of it, but Xavier Rudd is the artist's name. I'm telling you this in hopes that you'll write it down. The song,
I'm gonna write this down.
The song is called "Follow the Sun," and there's a part in it where he says, "If you feel life crashing down on you like a heavy weight, if you feel this crazy society going some." Take a stroll to the nearest water's edge. Remember your place. Many moons have risen and fallen long before you came. It just reminds me of that. Like you take the stroll to the water's edge, like you were just saying. It made me think of that song right away. But you might also like that song, so
I'm a maybe go for that song. I just heard. What was it I heard the other day? I actually heard it because I was listening to the artist talk on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Post Malone?
No, it wasn't Post Malone. I know who that is. Zach Bryan. Bryan. And it was, what song is it? Something in the Orange. Beautiful song. Like I could just picture like the sunset while he's singing, Mm-hmm. I love a good song. So I wrote it down. It's right here. I'm going to go and look that up as soon as we're done. And I'll listen to it and I'll tell you what I think.
And audio time travel. Who you're going to be speaking to for the next 1 minute is going to be the people who love you the most, if not yourself, rechecking in after 20 years. In 2043, what is a good timestamp from right now that's a lesson that could help inspire somebody to grow into a better version of themselves tomorrow, even if it's just you giving yourself a pep talk? What are you saying?
You haven't given up this far. don't give up now. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So if you're going to do something, then overdo it. Be the best. You know you can be the best if you focus. If you focus, you'll be the greatest. And that's what it takes. Choose what you focus on. Look for real wealth versus tangible wealth. And I'm referencing prosperity and, actually enjoying life and friends and families and connections and all of that good stuff. Hopefully you got a son now, or a daughter. Doesn't matter to you. If you do, well played, my friend. Well played.
You did it.
You did it.
You did.
I know that's what you want. That's the end goal. That's the cherry on top of the icing of life for you, my friend. So I hope when you come back and watch this that you got it. And also, if I have a son, I'm gonna name him Rex. No, I'm just kidding. No, not.
Why Rex?
No, I'm not gonna name him Rex. That's actually my chameleon's name. That's why I came to the front of.
Because you like dinosaurs.
Yeah, I like dinosaurs. I do play a lot of dinosaur games.
Mm-hmm.
Used to.
What inspires you the most? What's something that like you like look? Let's say like you look at somebody and you're like, that person lives the type of life and they do the type of thing that I know I could do. What's the thing that inspires you in that way?
I don't think that there is like someone in particular that does. It
doesn't have to be a person.
I don't know. I feel like I have just like a genuine love for just like I picture myself like I'm a leaf like blowing down the journey, and like the journey's the fun part. There's not. I don't feel like there has to be like a meaning or a goal attached to everything. Like you can just enjoy the ride.
Is that some lyrics to a Katy Perry song?
I don't know. Maybe it is, but it sounds right.
Feel like a plastic bag.
No, wait. Did I say plastic? No, I said a leaf.
I know you said that.
Definitely didn't say leaf. But I don't know.
Baby, your work. I better not sing it because I'm going to get copyright struck. I'm going to get a copyright strike. Demonetized.
Don't do it. But I mean, for real, like I don't know, everything I've ever like actually put my mind to, like I've always achieved. So with that being the case, it's like, just if I know I could do that, like, what else can I do like that? I like wealth. I like good.
Are you wealthy?
I like good people. No, I'm not. I mean, I make decent money.
Are you gonna be wealthy?
Yeah. But not in the. Maybe not in like I'm not gonna be like a millionaire. Maybe I will be. I don't know, but that's not like what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for like, like a family. Happy family, kids. Maybe we live just outside in the suburbs somewhere near a farm. Like I grew up across a horse farm. Like that's the life goal for me. It's like happy family, and that's where if I get that, then I could die a happy man. That's like I don't need money. I don't need fancy cars. I still remember sitting at the table, and I remember the day that all changed, and it was my old man, and I was like, yeah, I want to get a Lamborghini. Like we were having like Sunday dinner with the family, and I was like, I want a Lamborghini. I want $1 million. Like I thought I was, hot shit. Just started working for the insurance industry, making good money because, I'm 18. And he was just like, man, why don't you get so materialistic? And I was just like,
diva all the time.
My heart. And then I don't know why I remember that, but I remember that all the time. And it's just like, I think he was right. Like, who cares about that shit? Like, I just want to have like, the family still together. I still know my friends. I make new friends. Like, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm after. I could give a shit about anything else. Anything else anyone wants me to do, I don't care. I don't care what you want, but I'm going to get that. That is on the agenda, and ain't nobody going to stop me. So
the currency is time. Is time. So like the freedom of having time. So the in my head of being wealthy and thinking about that type of thing, like while it'll be nice to like live in a bigger place and go to these nice places, in my brain I go, I can develop ideas constantly and have the time and the freedom to make them a reality. And I really look forward to that as often as possible. And as often as possible, like when you say I just accomplished everything I ever put my mind to, that's how I am. I am excited for when that comes. How it comes, I don't know. I'm thinking more about the destination than I am the traveling, to get there. Because if you focus too much on the how, you'll freak yourself out too much and you won't get there.
That's true. Too much foresight, That's anxiety. That's what that is. Well, at least in my mind, that's how I picture it. So that's why I don't, just enjoy the moment. You got to think a little bit ahead. You don't want to be walking blind, but
I just have a few other pretty quick things, and then I'll send you off into the sunset, with a hot dog and a handshake.
Something in the orange. It's me.
A little bit.
All right.
So, as I told you, I'm pretty obsessed with having things be on the record and having a timestamp and a legacy of this. These are the building bricks. This is the keystone of right now. This is the longest conversation that we've ever had. This is the beginning. I love that. So I'm looking forward to not only us continuing to check in and see what our growth is. I'm excited for us to kind of have each other's backs now and be each other's homeboy on this whole thing. So in that, I want to tell you how important it is that you've given me this time, man. And the currency is time. Like I said, effort and time for you to have even showed up here. That's a part of what I want this show to be. But I want the value of this show for anybody who ever hits download or subscribe or likes or comments or any of that stuff. I want them to have the value in feeling like they're getting something out of it. So I can't offer tons to you as far as if you come on my show, you'll get a zillion new fans and then a zillion. That's not
where are they going to follow me?
Where are they going to even follow you? Yeah,
nowhere.
So that being said, I just want to say thank you very, very much, and I'm looking forward to us checking back in another 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you bringing me on here. Magnet Bros forever. Oh wait, where is it?
What are we doing?
Magnet Bros. Magnet Bros. Yeah. The size of the magnet.
With that being said, is there anything on the record that you want to ask or say to me that will, it'll be something that we can look back on and maybe laugh later?
I'm drawing blank. That might be it right there.
You weren't even going to call me handsome? Damn, I called you handsome and everything.
You're a handsome guy. Oh, it got me. I don't know. I feel like that was a great one. I'm drawing a blank with $1 million ideas. How's that? That sounds pretty cool.
Blank checks.
Yep. Drawing a blank with $1 million ideas and blank checks. Bye. Awesome.
Do you do any impressions? What's your best impression? Anything?
My brother does a really good Shaggy, and I try, but I'm not that good at it.
Okay. Well, hold on to that for a minute. Now, I'm going to hypothetically, this is a hypothetical experience here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gift you this show hypothetically. So this is the first episode of your brand new show called Evolving with Cody Loomis. And in a very Jerry Springer's final thought, the most valuable takeaways that could inspire anybody to be a better version of themselves from any of the stuff they may have learned within this last duration. What would you say to them? How would you wrap up your new podcast, Evolving with Cody Loomis? Episode 1. Jerry Springer's final thought.
All that it takes to believe that you can do it is the belief that you can do it.
Now, As Shaggy, would you say how we wrap up the show? There's the way we do it is I'll say, be fun, have safe, keep evolving. And that's how we close. As Shaggy, can you say that line?
I don't know if I could do the Shaggy voice, man. Oh, jeez.
Wait a second. If you believe you can, you can. You just said that, didn't you? Just something very similar to that?
What did I just say?
In your Jerry Springer's final thought, you said something like, if you believe you can do it, you can do it.
All it takes is belief, I think, right?
All it takes is to believe that you can do it.
It's gonna look so bad when I can't remember that. It's the spur of the moment thought.
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Do you want me to say that?
Yes.
Oh my God. Be fun. I'm sweating.
It's like have fun and be safe, except you're switching the words.
Like I'm just gonna say it, or you want me to say it in the Shaggy voice?
As Shaggy. I want Shaggy to say it.
I don't know how to say that in the Shaggy voice.
I don't know how to do Shaggy either. Scoob. I don't know Scoob. I can only know how to say Scoob.
Let me see. Do I have another voice that I could do? Let me think.
Well, you like just do
Scoob. It. Yeah, there it is. Like, bro, you gotta be fun, be safe, and keep evolving.
Perfect.
My brother's gonna see that. He's gonna be like,
now give me a sandwich that's this tall.
Oh, my brother's.
It's always amazing how Shaggy and Scooby could eat a whole sandwich that's this tall. Just whoop.
You know, next time we see each other, I'm gonna have to call my brother on the phone, and we'll have him do.
There you go.
It's professional grade. He could actually
also acceptable.
All right, sounds good.
I just want to say another thing, man. I feel it's important to say at the end of every episode how much I'm happy to be a resource for you in any way. If I can be, if there's something in your brain that you go, oh yeah, that makes me think of Cory right away. That's something that I could use his help with in some way. If there's anything, if you ever feel like there's no ears to listen to you, there's nobody to pay the right attention. If you ever feel like you don't have a friend, please don't ever hesitate to call me. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. And that goes to anybody else who's listening. If you ever feel like you're all the way alone and you want to just have a judgment-free conversation with somebody and talk about what's going on, my DMs are wide open on all the social media platforms. I'm Cory Kastle, as it's spelled right down here, at Cory Kastle, and I'll be your ears. If that can be the value that lets you hit like button, subscribe, and follow. Whenever anybody throws the like, subscribe, follow, like it makes every point after that, it makes every point right before that feel like less valid. Like it makes it feel fake. Like, but I really all
make this. I'll do it for you. Make this Cory's job, everybody. If you do one thing today, make this Cory's job, because he's over here. Make it Cory's job. Your support, your love will help him be able to do this full time and have the craziest people on the planet, and we'll all get to watch him bang on his drums and do the little check thing for the rest of eternity.
Where's my drum? Oh, there it is down there.
Give us a beat.
Shaggy. So also inside of that, make sure you stay kind and stay kinder to yourself. If something's too exhausting, take a breath, take a minute. Think about what would Cory Kastle do?
Meditate.
And meditate. Yes.
Yeah. Even if you're not feeling bad, meditate. It's great for the body and mind.
Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving.
Show's over.